Powered by Riverside.
Extraordinaire here in New York City, and today is a very special show. Every show is look. Every show is a special show. Okay, and just if you're a new listener, this is a show about real estate. It's about business. It's about fulfilling your dreams, and it's about tennis. No, and it's about everything else in between. Okay, so we talk about anything and everything. We like to try and keep it towards professional business systems. No, I don't know. That's not true. Anyway, enough about me. Let me introduce my wonderful guest here. I am very proud to present Mr. Michael Sorrentino, Corcoran. Correct me if I'm getting your title right. Corcoran General Sales Manager.
You nailed it. I'm not into titles, but you nailed it.
Did I nail it?
Yeah,
Corporate general, just general. If you have specific questions, do not come to Michael, but he will handle all of your general questions. So,
Thank you. Yeah. People generally come to me with their questions. That's a fact.
I love it. Welcome, buddy. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. What a cool thing to see you have launched such a professional operation. And I feel like now we've known each other for almost 10 years. Since our
Is it
Hamptons
10?
sojourn
Did I only
to,
meet you when I came to Corcoran?
I
I
think
think that's right.
we actually met on an organized trip out east to visit property out there, which is a networking event with the Hamptons agents, East End agents, which was organized by Frank Persisepi, who's it's actually the godfather of my oldest kid. So he's family, but he was the Brooklyn regional at the time. So I think you might have just gotten to Corcoran. I think.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I'm here. You know what? I'm hearing. I'm hearing the people. There's.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Let
Down the
me.
hall. Can you close the door?
Yeah, let me
Are
do
you
that.
allowed to close the door? Are they really listening to you, Michael?
Semi.
Are they really? Are they really listening to you, trying to make sure you don't say anything wrong?
No. Well, yes and no. Yes and no.
Really? Are you on that tight a leash over there?
No. You know what? They don't let me out of the cage, so I like a little extra just in case sort of protection. So they're good. They're tame. They're not gonna get in the way
I
anymore. I don't
mean,
think.
I
Sorry.
gotta tell you, like you and Gary to me are like the dream team. That's like the dream team. And
He's
I'm
the
sure
best.
there's a bigger team. I know there's a bigger team, but like the two of you are like two of my
Well,
favorite people.
well, he's
Uh,
listen, he's another mentor for me too because without him, funny enough, like between him and Frank, who I mentioned before, two very important people in my life that kind of changed the course of my trajectory, both personally and professionally. And Gary is a lot of fun. He's our COO, but I like to call him our CFO because he's kind of our chief fun officer, and he's very good at having fun. So
yeah, he's pretty
I
good. He
have
just
a lot of
yeah
respect for him.
yeah yeah. That's kind of crazy. I mean, look, let's start right. Let's start professionally, right, and let's get into how you came to Corcoran, right? So, like, what's your background in real estate? You were an agent for a few years. What?
Well, let me tell you, it's funny.
Yeah.
Yes, I was. And the reason why I got into real estate is because I didn't know the concept of home equity like I didn't understand that as a concept that you pay rent
Yeah.
to yourself basically.
You wait. You can buy homes.
Right. I had no idea. I didn't know how that worked. And I like not kidding, like I was raised by wolves. I didn't know that until I was 28 years old. And a friend of mine was like, "Yeah, it's like you
What do you
pay."
mean you were raised by wolves? Like, were you literally raised in like the country?
No, there were basically not a lot of supervision. Single
How,
mom
how many
primarily.
siblings do you have? How many brothers and sisters?
I have one that I don't really talk to, and he and my father were pretty closely aligned. My mother and I were pretty closely aligned, so it was basically a single mom situation. And she passed sadly way too early at the age of 45. But she had me when she was 19 years old. So
Oh my
she
God.
she had a very difficult sort of situation that she managed through, and I thank every day for it that she sacrificed so much. So
That's
that's my background from just where I came from personally, but professionally, once I learned about that concept, because we rented my whole life. We never owned a home. Like I never owned a home my whole life. Like it was always renting. My mom was, stitching together work as a receptionist and a waitress, and just double shift
whatever.
thing,
You in New
whatever.
York?
So
Where'd you
we
go?
bounced back and forth between Florida and New York, and I was born in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, but I moved up to New York when I was like a baby, like 6 months old, and we were here from the ages so I was here from 6 months to 7 years old. And my mom took us back down to Florida from the ages of 7 to 12, and then I came back up to New York from 12, and I was here ever since. I actually lived with friends, families, my junior and senior year of high school. Issues with my dad. It's all, not a lot of fun stuff to
Don't,
go.
this isn't therapy, just so you know, right?
Right, right, exactly. I'm gonna shift.
We're about positivity, Michael. Just so you know,
Exactly.
we're about
Well,
positivity.
that's what the good news is that the town that I grew up in, that I wound up going to high school, kind of was. I mean, I'm still connected to 25, 30 of my high school friends today from the town of Pelham, and be very proud to be a part of that. I actually have a gig playing tomorrow night for a charity in Pelham. I think it's
That's, I mean, so, I mean, look, our listeners don't know you, right? They're meeting you now.
okay.
And they don't know Michael is an awesome guitar player. Like,
Thank you.
awesome guitar player.
Thank you.
Yeah, like one of those, like, you had to have at one point been like, I'm going to be a rock star, right?
Well, that's another funny story because I didn't actually play for real until I was sort of 18 years old. So I started extremely, extremely late, and that had to do with kind of just having some security growing up in high school, like figuring out where I was living.
Yeah.
So once I got to college, I had a secure, stable environment. I found the guitar and I got obsessed, and I was playing 8, 9 hours a day. And I was also in theater, musical theater, and stuff like that. And I had done a little bit of that in high school too, but I never really picked up an instrument until I was, I think, summer of senior year, 17 or 18 years old. And then I got really obsessed with it. And you're right, at one point, I kind of recognized that this is coming easier to me than it does to other people. And then I also had a teacher from a musical theater teacher who tested me for perfect pitch. And I realized that I had that through her. I did not know that was a thing. And then I think I was 19 at the time, and that's what I was able to pick up things by ear and play them by ear. And sort of that just gave me another level of, I guess, like confidence. And I got sort of deep into music theory, like later in college. And by the time I was, 20, 21 years old, and I've been playing 2 or 3 years, I kind of figured, wow, like this is something I may be able to actually do, even though I've only been playing for a few years. So I got very, very lucky, and then it really like helped me,
But what do you mean you got lucky? You got lucky because you had such a good ear to music, or
Yeah, I think
what do
that's
you
part
mean?
of it.
Yeah,
I think I got
yeah,
lucky
yeah.
just with that, and also just,
Like you
you
were
know,
you
when
able to catch up? Like, I mean, you must. At
that's the
what
thing.
point? Yeah,
Yeah, like I started to understand like really basic, like like any like rock from the 70s, 80s, or 90s. I hadn't really encountered too many things that weren't like things that I couldn't play. I really could. It all kind of made sense to me in a way that like nothing had made sense to me before. It just all sort of, I guess, was very clear to me. Songs like structure, and there was a lot of similarities in structure, and the fretboard was a very sort of like, I just kind of got it. I'm more of a numbers person. I think like the fretboard's a graph, so I was able to like
what's
just.
fretboard? I don't know what fretboard is.
So
That's like
fretboard,
what you read music on.
yeah. So this is your
Oh, the
fretboard.
frets of like a guitar.
Yeah. So like this is the fretboard, and it just
Do you
became.
have an amp in there? Sorry, do you have an amp
I
in there?
do. I just don't have a chord. You probably hear a little bit.
We should get you to play a song.
Yeah, we can close with that if you want.
Yeah. Well,
So
hold
yeah.
on. Get back to the fret. So that's the fretboard.
So that's the fretboard. Yeah. So it just all became very. It was very understandable. It's like a graph, and like, you basically go up, and it's sort of all. It's the same concept. It's same thing going this way.
So at like 21, you're like, I'm gonna be a rock star. Like at 21, were you like, oh, I'm gonna be a rock star?
I was playing in bands, and I think that like
Yeah.
rock star or whatever. I frankly, I wish I could say that that dream was something that I could like thought about, but frankly, like because I came from scarcity, I was that was sort of a side thing. It was just like, oh, this is something that I've found something that I love to do that was like I found it on my own. I found it on my own, and
Yeah.
I didn't. Nobody necessarily taught me. I had a couple friends show me a couple chords, but I kind of took the ball and ran with it. And I was more sort of like addicted to it, and it was like a healthy
Yeah.
addiction. People think, oh, like, I've been told, oh, you're talented, and I say, well, thank you, but I think it's more that I had the addiction to have to do this. I felt the need. It was a
Like you
need.
had to do it every day. You were like,
Yeah,
I don't like need to do. It's like I don't need to play the guitar. I want to play the guitar. It's honestly that's how I am with tennis. I
right.
don't
Okay.
need to play. I mean, I okay. It's my exercise also, right? So like
Right,
I was
right.
supposed to play this morning, but it was rain. We were rained out, and it was like it bummed me out, right? Because I really wanted to play. I wanted to get a good run in. I
Yeah.
could eat like a pig all weekend. You know what I mean? So it's my daughter's bat mitzvah, so I'm gonna be,
Oh, congrats, Nozzle.
you
That's
know,
great.
thank you. Yeah, no, it's gonna be, so tons of food, right? So it's
Yeah,
like I wanted to earn it a little bit,
that's
but
great.
I don't need, I want to. You know what I mean? It's like it's a joy. Every now and then you're out there and you're like, okay, I don't really feel like we call it OT. You're over
Huh.
tennis. It
Okay.
does happen. Like I'm sure at some point Keith Richards is like, dude, I don't want the guitar. Like, he's
Right, right, right.
really put it down.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, I think that's true. I think like, for me, I have I picked up piano recently within the last 4 to 5 years, and I've been able to kind of adapt a lot of what I played on guitar and piano is
I've
actually
picked
easier
up
to
piano.
see.
It's like fuck you. I picked up piano. It's like
I'm
I
not,
picked up
I'm not.
Portuguese. I
I,
speak Portuguese now.
well, you know what they say, right? Every decade you age, you got to pick up a new thing to keep your brain limber. So this is the
That's
thing I picked up
true.
in my 40s. So
It's easy to say, right? But like only a few actually do it. So
yeah.
seriously, like at what level are you now with your
Well,
piano?
I can sort of, I can stumble through a hefty amount of Billy Joel at this point.
Yeah. Really? Wait, Billy Joel? Like you're playing Piano Man?
Yeah, yeah, New York State of Mind, and
Like the whole like the intros, like the
yeah,
whole thing?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Stop it!
the whole thing,
Stop
yeah,
it! Stop it!
yeah.
Stop it!
Vienna was one of the first like kind of things I was like, wow, this is a fun one. Let me try to figure this out. So I took the day, it was a weekend, and I just kind of just stumbled through it. The thing is with YouTube now, like the videos are so easy. Like you can self-teach yourself, and again because I have the music base working with guitar. With guitar is a
Yeah.
very enigmatic, confusing instrument. Piano's easier because you can see it all. So the thing that's just the tricky thing is just getting the muscle memory and kind of just the repetitiveness does it. And there's something about for me wanting to perfect something. So like I have no problem playing the same thing like over an hour. Like and I don't annoy the hell out of my family because I have headphones when I play the piano. So I
What do you
can
have? Like a
so
keyboard at home?
yeah, I
You
had
have
a
a keyboard?
keyboard, yeah, with
Yeah.
weighted keys, so it feels like a real piano. But
Yeah.
the headphones get on, and then I just go away. Like my mind goes away when I'm playing instruments.
Yeah.
I literally just it's something that requires like so much focus. Anything that I'm stressed out about, anything that I don't want, any negativity, it all kind of washes away. And that's I wonder if for you, like with your stand-up comedy, I feel like maybe there's something there because you have to be so focused on it that like nothing else can really enter your mind. I feel like that might be like an analogous thing that you are really good at.
I wish it was that deep with me. I'm not that deep. I'm not that deep. Look, I'm a very shallow person. I'm very superficial. Very shallow.
You're a very hilarious person too.
No, it's not. I mean, thank you. You know what? But the truth is like I don't even know why I like it. It's like I don't know. Maybe it's like the challenge of it. It's like it's not an easy thing to do.
No,
And
not at
I go
all.
up there even like a lot of the times I kind of like have an idea of what I might talk about, but I don't have. If I had a script, I wouldn't be able to remember it.
Really? I
I
thought you
have
did it.
certain shticks I can kind of do, but no, not really. Like I kind of would just go up there and talk from the heart, talk from the heart. But let's
You do.
let's
You will.
guide this. I want to talk a little bit about real estate, right? So like, at what point? A little bit about real estate. At what point did you go from music to let's say a 9 to 5 respectable
Sure. I always had
non-artistic job.
I always had a 9 to 5, or frankly, it was oftentimes a 9 to 5 from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. Because I was bartending for a while, and then I also sort of got out of bartending and I jumped into the retail world, managing stores. I worked for Urban Outfitters for about 7 years. I was the general manager of their big flagship store on Broadway and Bleecker, and I've been hot between Bleecker and Houston, and then was also, after working there for 7 years, was with J. Crew. I actually got the benefit of like working with Mickey Drexler, who's a notorious real estate junkie himself, and Mickey's like the king of retail, and it was a very like really great, both great companies to work for, and I basically. I was let go in 2008 from Urban Outfitters, and then I was sort of like, you know what? Now that I had learned about the concept of equity, I jumped into getting my license, and I had a really good friend who I was friends with before real estate, just a guy named Joe who managed the Brooklyn Heights Corcoran office. And I told him I was thinking about getting my license, and that
This is like what year? Like what year is this?
this was 2008, and it was right after the financial crash, by the way. Like a lot of people were let go from their job. Like it was like one of those things. Like the financial crash, like it affected a lot of people.
There's a lot of change.
Which I was one, and I sort of like, you know what, let me go into business for myself. And I was a little bit like sort of nervous about like, okay, and financial collapse, real estate values were plummeting. But to be honest with you, it was the last great, I think the best time to have possibly gotten into the business, because there were so many listings. There were so many, there were not enough, frankly, agents to handle the listing volume with all of the new development that was going along the Brooklyn waterfront. I started as a Brooklyn agent. There was so much opportunity because there were fire sales in some cases of 25% off the asking price, transfer taxes being covered.
Yeah.
And as a new agent, I got to host so many open houses and meet so many buyers and tour so much property that I was able to meet a lot of people. Street easy. I mean, it was around, but it wasn't what it is today. So I was able to face meet with people, get to talk to them, let them know.
Face to face. You met
Yeah.
with people face to face.
Yeah, this is like we're going back to the Stone Ages, right?
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah, so I got, I was very fortunate to have started when I did, even though like the world financially was going through all this, terrible stuff. There was so much change happening within real estate, and there was
That was so in 2008 you were a full-time real estate agent.
yeah, yep.
Like you were because you lost your job at Urban Outfitters.
Yep. No, yep. And that actually, what I did was I started with J. Crew also, sort of trying, and they were, by the way, they were great to me. They actually let me have Sundays off so I could do open houses on Sundays. So I was working real estate. So what I would do is I would work shifts. Like I would work like the early 7 to 3 shift on Monday, but then I would go to the office on Monday afternoon till like 10 o'clock at night. I was literally working like 100 hours a week between both jobs. Yeah, and it was, and the fact that they, like, a retail company would give me Sundays off was like amazing, and I was so grateful. I remember at one point, like, I was in the stock room and like a buyer called, and I had to I was actually on the floor, and I had to like go to the stock room and like, try to just like, manage his expectations, and we were kind of negotiating on strategy on how to approach the deal at 360 Furman at the time. So it was a very sort of busy time, and it was sort of like, all right, I know I want to do this. I know that I have like an energy. I didn't have any responsibility.
Were you on someone's team or something?
No, I started this. No, I had a wonderful mentor, a guy who's still in the business today. His name's Michael Coleman, based out of the Brooklyn Heights office. He and his partner Rob Donahoe were two just amazing guys to kind of start with, and he had an amazing career, and he still does. I mean, he's just an amazing, giving person. I know a lot of people who are actually mentored by him. And he has just a very good teacher. And what happened was, after being an agent for about, I don't know, 2 years or so, Frank Persepi had asked me because I had the management background in retail, he's like, would you ever be interested in managing in real estate? And I said, absolutely, that's amazing. I kind of was touched that he thought that I would be able to sort of make that transition. And I was a little bit surprised because the opportunity wasn't at Corcoran. The opportunity was at our sister company, City Habitats. And at City, they did so much rental business that it actually, in some cases, worked against them because they were the #1 rental company, and they were always a top 5, 6 sales company. But oftentimes you would go into a pitch and the seller would sort of say, hey, aren't you guys a rental company? And so there was that hurdle of explaining, well, a lot of the buyers that actually will be coming to you will be coming to past clients of ours that we helped put into a rental. So the job there was to help a lot of the agents there. A lot of them didn't have any training on sales and didn't even have training on their sales system at the time. It was called Taxi. And I was there to kind of help them and be more of a mentor for agents that had sales opportunities, and I really enjoyed that very much. I was able to help a lot of agents get their first deals done or get the complex deals done, and coming in from Corcoran, it was kind of like a very ripe environment to help train and it was rewarding because you really helped, you were really directly impacting people's business and sort of giving them guidance, kind of keeping them on the rails and giving them, instilling confidence in them from marketing, from a transactional sort of strategic perspective. So it was very rewarding for me to be able to help a pretty large swath of people. I think City at the time had like 600 agents, and I had about, of those 600, probably 150 on the west
So
side.
you were what? You were in like you were the sales manager
Yeah, I
of,
was a
of
sales
the
manager.
office?
Yeah, for multiple offices because the rental managers, the managers that were focused more on the rental side, they did like 80% rentals, 90% rentals in some cases. So the rental managers did a little bit more of the sort of, obviously rentals is high volume and intense, as you know especially. Like, so they would run the office, and the sales managers, there wasn't quite enough sales volume in one office, but between three offices, I was overseeing three offices working in partnership with the three rental managers, helping
Got
them
it.
kind of finding opportunities. It's like, oh, Johnny did 30 rental transactions last year. Let's help him stay in contact and nurture some of those relationships so that we can also sort of let them know we don't just do rentals, we do sales as well, and we'd be happy to help them navigate the complexities of a home buying search.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that, and it was fun because there was so much just growth that was right there at your fingertips, and all it needed to do was be watered and be shown a little bit of sunlight. It was that obvious, and it was very easy, even though it was intimidating at first. Once a month or two into this, I was like, oh wow, I'm really going to be able to help here, and that was
How
that.
long were you there? How long were you in that role?
So I was there for about 4.5, 5 years, and during that I moved from the west side to the east side, and I managed the east side office with my then partner, who's now a senior managing director at Corcoran, Kim Picard, who manages our gallery office, and she was sort of the rental guru. And that office in particular had done a lot of sales business, so that was actually probably the number one or two sales offices, and there were a lot of agents there that that was they were doing more sales and rentals. So I was really happy to be there, and then I was asked to come back to manage at Corcoran in 2015 and manage the Park Slope office. And that's when I was kind of a homecoming to me. Like, I'd done a deal with Jessica Buckman as an agent, and now I was going to be her manager. So it was kind of like, I don't even think she remembered me, by the way. But everybody was very welcoming, and they knew I was,
Like who?
exactly. But everybody kind of knew of me as an agent when I was in Brooklyn, so it was an easy homecoming. It was. I knew also, like, at that point, like, where I was maybe lacking in some knowledge, like as it related to new development and things like that. I was excited to go back to learn that side of the business, and during that also I learned particularly a lot about sort of the townhouse business and how that works, and differs in some ways from your traditional condo co-op, which is primarily what is in Manhattan. The townhouse business is a lot more prominent, or the single-family home business is a little bit more prominent in Brooklyn. So it was a really good learning opportunity, and I was going back sort of work with my, the guy who brought me into the business in the first place, Joe.
With Frank.
Yeah,
Oh,
and Frank.
and
Yeah,
Frank,
Joe.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a
So
little
that was
bittersweet because
nice.
I very much
And
loved
that's
working with Gary.
when they grab, like, I mean, now it's a different story, but like when Corcoran was grabbing from City and City was grabbing from Corcoran, like they all kind of worked together behind the scenes. There was no
Yeah.
competition. There was no.
Well, no, it was a little bit of touch and go, because I didn't necessarily want to leave, Gary or Peter, who was Gary's partner at the time. They were both really awesome mentors, and it was hard because I started with Frank. It was a little awkward.
Yeah. But they didn't all know about it. Like they don't all know about it. But
Well,
like,
they
look, you're gonna get offered this job.
did, but they also were sort of, it's kind of like, well, whatever Mike decides to do, like, we'll
Yeah.
let, kind of thing. And
Yeah, but it's like, but like obviously it was a better opportunity, or it was like something that made more
yeah,
sense,
and
right?
what was funny was the timing was perfect because we were merging two Upper East Side offices for City Habitats, so they had a manager to run the office. Luckily, there was another manager to replace me on the sales side, so it worked out great. Everybody was at the end of the day, it was all worked out great. It was funny, like 4 years later, all of a sudden, there we go.
Well, it
Now,
all keeps coming around. It all
yeah,
keeps coming around.
exactly. And
And
now,
now, I mean,
and now it's even
it's like a
further because
it's
well,
like the
now I'm
Brady
back working
Bunch or
with
something.
Joe again, technically.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't even know how to explain it anymore.
Say it again.
I don't even know how to explain it anymore. Like now, because now we're Compass
Well, no,
and
we're not.
we're
I mean, that's a misconception. I mean, I think a lot of people think that, and it's this concept of like the brand staying very distinct and or have their own cultures and things like that. I think that's all very clear that that's going to be the case. That works best for everybody. I think that ultimately, it's just funny because some people that I worked with at City Habitats were at Compass, and now that we're all CIH, it's like another homecoming similar to what I experienced when I went back to Brooklyn. It's like, oh, I get to work with these people that I have all these years of knowledge and trust and working with different people. Joe in particular, he and I, have been great friends for over 20 years, and to kind of to be back working together, it's nice. It's really cool. So anyways, that's my synopsis of my
of your career, and
yeah,
now we're at present day.
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the market, right? I mean, I'd love to learn from you. I'm talking for myself, but I'd like to what do you see happening? Let's start with the sales market, right? What do you see happening right now in the New York City sales market?
So it's so complex because it depends on where in New York City, what price point you're talking about, and also, there's such a contrast in inventory. As an example, right? In Brooklyn, it's been so much, it's been such a more intense environment as it relates to like there's a lot more competing bids. There's a lot more
Demand.
over
Is
ask.
it?
Yeah, like yes, and not to say that that's not the
But
case.
on which properties are you talking about? Like, are we talking about like the $1 million condo?
No, I mean it's as you know, it's all about pricing, right? Pricing is the
Yeah.
key to sort of everything. But there's just it doesn't matter if it's like a $5 million townhouse or if it's anything that was sort of for a long time, and it's still I think that was didn't need a lot of work and was like move in ready. That sort of COVID effect of rate lock in and things like that like prevented people from listing has been really intense in Brooklyn more so than anywhere. And a lot of people moved and migrated from Manhattan to Brooklyn during the COVID years. So for space and for the flexibility of ownership, and the cost of ownership is generally cheaper in Brooklyn too.
Yeah.
So that if you look at common charges, like it's often going to be 50% less.
Yeah.
For a similar square footage, like you might have a 2,000 square foot condo in Manhattan that's $3 a foot. You might find the same thing in Brooklyn for $1.50 a foot. That's kind of one of the reasons. But Manhattan, the luxury market's been very strong, and I'll be careful not to sort of speak out of turn here, but it's the market. I think in Manhattan, I'd say it's normal. It's a normal market because negotiability is around 3% or so on average, very broad, and then sort of in Brooklyn, it's sort of more closer to the actual asking price. In some cases, over the asking prices, and that's been kind of where we've tracked for several months now. It's been a little bit more. It's been more contested. I think you're just dealing with more competing offers in Brooklyn.
I mean, I can only speak for myself. Like, what I see in Brooklyn, right, is those properties that are asking full retail, right? So it's like you're going into this, and I always compare real estate to like fashion, right? It's like if a sweater comes out, right, the day it comes out, they're not discounting it, right? So the day it comes out, it's like, look, this is this sweater. It's a $300 sweater. If you want the sweater, it's made in China,
Yeah.
but still, it's $300, and let's see who buys it, right? And you keep it out. I think those properties, unless they're brand new, turnkey, you know, and big, right? So I think like the families that have a lot of, you know, those expensive, like the townhouses that you were talking about, I think that market's actually very healthy, you know. But if we're talking about like $1 million condo that's in a B area and they're asking, you know, the top number per square foot, I think that apartment's going to sit there.
I mean, like you said, everything is always price, right? Like
Always price.
it's always price. I mean, it's just, you got to look at what's around you. Like a lot of times, I think people will think that the amount of renovation that they spent on a property translates into resale, and we
Doesn't
know,
matter.
it doesn't matter. It's always a tough
It's a
conversation.
beautiful renovation. 20 years. Don't you love it when you get that property where like they renovated 20 years ago and it's like super specific too. It's like leopard print, you know, backsplash or something crazy.
Yeah,
And it was like 20 years ago. I get it. It was new and everything. But now today they're like, oh, we renovated it. What are you talking about? This
yeah.
renovated. It's like, yeah, but no one wants your leopard print.
Yeah, it's so important to like show people what they're competing with, right? It's like, hey, here's what you're competing with. Like,
Yeah. Well, everyone is like, my house is the best.
sure, sure.
You know.
And who's to say they don't have the right to think that?
Because they do. They certainly do.
You know, they.
So do you think like overall it's a healthy marketplace?
I think so. I mean, yeah, I definitely think so. It's post COVID. I mean, you look at every dip that we've had, it's bounced back, and frankly, to me, whenever a market's between 2 to 5% negotiability, that it's a pretty normal market. And frankly, like, look, I'm no economist. I'm not going to pretend like I know like how the grand scheme of things works. But employment's it's been around 4% for this in last 6 years post COVID. It's sort of there's other factors that have been steady that I think has made like the market steady. Like to me, just because of when I started in the business, like I said before, where I know we had obviously drops, for COVID and everything else, but in the financial crash, like what happened? People lost jobs, and that's why we had this inventory surge, and that's why we had prices drop tremendously. And this is now 16, 17 years ago. That's the perspective that I kind of came in, and I think in comparison to that, it's like, well, things have been relatively stable. Like rates, yes, they went up post COVID. But now I think people see 5 to 6%, and they're like, yeah, well, this is what it is. Like I don't expect drops, to go back. I don't see 4 on the horizon anytime soon. I don't necessarily see 7 on the horizon anytime soon. I think it's a 5 to 6 market for the time being, and the world will sort of obviously move that one way or the other due to unforeseen circumstances. But for the last 5 years. Now it's been fairly normal. 22 was kind of a little bit of a peak, and then 23 was kind of a reaction to that peak in the opposite direction, and then 24, 25 kind of leveled out a little bit. And this year, it seems to be kind of on par with last year, but it's early, so who knows?
It's early.
The
Is
rental
there
market.
someone over there in corporate who's like looking at the numbers and they're just like checking? They're like, where are we at this month?
Oh, I
Like,
think
they can just see the numbers in real time.
well, I think everybody, anybody who is a business owner, like if you're not doing that, then like you're not,
Yeah, but they can, like someone like is Pam sitting there. She's like, okay, here we go. This is what we did.
Listen,
this is-
I think she and like everybody else, like I think every day, like whether it's our research people or everything else, like you look at that stuff, on a regular. That's like a big part of things. It's just absolutely, I'm the
you
numbers
see
guy.
the patterns. Well, you see the patterns, right?
Yeah, sure. And it's interesting. The rental market is just that is. I was
They
talking about
messed it up with that law, didn't they? I mean,
well,
oh
it's
my
just
God.
look. The problem is now is that people can't find apartments, and it's harder than ever if you're searching, and that's why prices have gone up, and the competition. There was in from the Williamsburg office. I remember Amy was telling me there was something where there was 80 inquiries and 10 applications on the same place, and I mean it's
I
just
don't understand. I mean, there's
well,
people much smarter than me who like should be in charge of this. Okay, and it's like I can look at it, you can look at it, anyone can look at it, right? What happens the day they got rid of broker fees, right? prices went up, right? So now the landlord is paying that broker fee, but all prices went up 10% to cover that broker fee. And then year two, you're paying for the broker fee again. So actually, as long as you live in that apartment, you're paying on top of that broker fee.
Look, I'm not, wise enough to kind of understand politics to the degree other people
Who
do.
makes that decision?
It's just right now, it's just. I know some landlords that actually are not advertising their property because they're just getting inquiries word of mouth from tenants that already live in the building. So unfortunately, people aren't seeing inventory because the landlord just wants to minimize the amount of work of, I think, showing apartments and things like that because they've already got people lined up and there's not necessarily.
Or yeah, or why go through a broker? Some. I mean, I'm not really seeing that, but like a landlord could do that. Hey, if I don't go through a broker, I don't have to pay the fee, right? I could save.
Or they could look at it that way too, and that's absolutely right. I just think that like the fact that the demand is still so high, the fact that it's becoming like, oh, there's a tenant who has a friend who's struggling to find an apartment, like they let their landlord know, hey, like I've got somebody that would love to live in this building. I've never heard of such just basic,
It's
it's like
so.
marketing, word of mouth kind of
You
things.
know how bad this is how bad the rental market is in New York City. Okay, I get consistently. I get this inquiry. Someone sees an old listing from Street Easy from like 2 years ago, and they're like, "Hey, You think you might have an apartment available or coming up in this?" Like, I'm like, "What are the odds that I do? Like, what
Yeah.
are the odds that I do? If you're making that call, right? Like, there's got to be something better for you to do with your time. That's all. That's all."
Yeah, but at the same time, like that also speaks to like how hard it is, right? If they're like looking at stuff from
Right.
years ago, there's a lot of hope out there that, there's a lot of people I
Hey,
think that need help that I think that don't know where to look.
you
And
You
that's
see
where
all these articles, right? Where they're like 136,000 people left New York City last year. It's like, really, how's
I
that
do I
possible?
do I do pay attention to that. Yeah, it seems that New York State, I read some article where
But how's that possible?
28% outflux of residents, it's
I don't see it. I don't see it at all. I mean,
hmm,
I can only tell you, I know so many people looking for apartments and so many people who are desperate. Um,
sadly, yeah. And there's
so
not a lot
yeah,
of building too. There's not a lot of building going on as well. Like in Brooklyn especially, there's like very little new construction. There's not a lot compared to even 6 7 years ago. There's just not a lot of building. And I'm not no political expert whatsoever. But the thing that I feel is just there doesn't seem to be developer will develop if there's opportunity to obviously profit from that, but
right.
that to me is what is kind of missing, is that whether it's incentives or there's other things that would prompt people to build, that is
Like the
what I feel like is the missing
421A.
ingredient, and like a bigger whatever. Yeah, sure. I mean, that was obviously the huge one, and there's just not, like, you look at like land costs, building costs, and all that stuff. It obviously doesn't make a lot of sense, or there would be more development, or to me, it's just
Yeah.
the supply and demand thing is pretty basic.
But that's what it is, right? It's like, look, at the end of the day, you got 100 people trying to fill 50 homes, right? So
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's
you
exactly
know,
well said.
so there's this, it's supply and demand.
Hard.
So and again, I'm not the smartest man in the room, but we need to build more. So when I started in real estate, I
Everybody thinks
mean,
that.
they had the 421, right?
Yeah.
So everyone was building everywhere. It was like everywhere you turned, there was a new building. And remember that summer where they had like 12,000 or 21,000? I don't know. It was a crazy number of rentals coming to Brooklyn alone, something like
Yeah,
that.
that's right. Yep.
And now, where are those apartments now? I mean, again, okay, those weren't going to help, low income New Yorkers, right? Those were all, but they kind of, it doesn't hurt, right? Because certain people move to those buildings and then they free up other apartments. So,
Yeah, yeah. But you're right. I think everybody agrees with like more building, the more building, the better. Like, you know.
it's, hopefully someone, again, smarter than me is figuring out how to do this. Let's talk about your tennis game.
Oh boy. The
I
lack
gotta tell
thereof.
you,
The
okay,
lack thereof.
Mike is one of those guys who can just show up at your tennis club and look like, you ever see the movie White Man Can't Jump? You're like the You're like not
Billy
Wesley
Hoyle.
Snipes. Who?
Billy Hoyle.
What's that?
Billy Hoyle. That's the Woody
Billy
Harrelson.
Hoyle. Was that his name in the movie?
Pretty sure. Yeah, I might be wrong. But I think that's what it was.
I mean, like, yeah. I mean, come on. Yeah, that was and you show up at the country club.
Probably like
And
ill
you're the one.
ill-fitting clothes. I think I had to borrow socks from you because I wasn't
I'm
even
still
prepared.
waiting for those back.
Yes, I offered. I think I offered, and you said no. That's okay. Actually, you go ahead and
Like,
keep
I'll
them.
get you.
You stinky boy.
By the way, the Scotch, the rabbi told me
Yeah,
he's doing another Scotch tasting.
sign
If
me
you're
up.
interested. How good was that Scotch tasting?
That was such a cool experience because the guy leading it, I remember the nosing, like him introducing the concept of your nose
Yeah.
into that, like into a sipping, is fascinating. And I remember he said at one point he'll sit by his window and nose it for an hour before he actually takes a sip. That was
Just for everyone listening, right? So there's this guy who does the best Scotch tasting there is, and I'm a big. You can see I got my Scotch sign, and so anyway, Mike and I went about I don't know what was that 3 years ago now?
yeah, something
4
like
years
that.
ago.
Yeah,
And he lives on Central Park West, and it's like his whole dining room is a Scotch tasting room. So imagine like a nice size New York City dining room, and there's Scotch bottles about 6 rows all around.
it was a
6
museum.
rows up. Is that fair?
Museum. Yeah.
It's like right, and then
And then
he's got a
five
big-
deep. And then 5 deep.
Yeah, and like 5 deep, right? So there's got to be 1,000 bottles. Is that fair? 1,000
Fair.
bottles?
Totally fair.
It's
Yes.
probably a reasonable guess.
Gotta be.
And then in the he has an armoire, and in the armoire is like just special bottles. Like I believe there was like a 1918 Macallan. I mean, did you see that one?
Crazy.
Something crazy. Like it's over 100. I don't even. How much is a 1918-year-old Macallan?
Out of my price range.
Gotta be a few thousand.
Probably $100,000.
Gotta be a few $1,000.
Yeah.
And this guy that you're talking about doesn't even drink Scotch. He does like. I think he said every now and then he'll literally take the smallest sip, but he just sits there and he just noses the Scotch. He buys it and noses it.
It was-
But he does a Scotch tasting that is, I got to tell you, like the best. I mean, it's like it's a little too much, right? You're kind of like, can we drink it yet? Like,
Well, the fun part too is that like he put us all through like college, which is like, hey, well, tell me what is this? What kind of cask was this made in? How many years old do you think it is? And you had to sit there and you had to like guess, and he was just sitting there laughing at all because the answers just wildly varied from I think this is a 5 year. Oh, I think it's a 20 year, and he's just sitting there laughing. He's like, it's a 12. You guys, nobody knows what they're talking about here.
That is
And you're sort of
hilarious.
like, he's teaching you how to appreciate and identify the nuances, which I thought was so fascinating. And what a cool thing that you brought me into. I'm very grateful for. I'm looking forward to the next one.
We were talking about it because I was talking about it with the rabbi. He's like, we got to do it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to send it out to my clients. I actually think it's a great, yeah, right? It's like, we sit there. It's like we eat lox. Like, I mean, it's like beautiful smoked fish and, sushi and all that stuff. And then you're sitting there drinking. I mean, if you went to a bar and ordered these scotches from the bar,
You'd be
I
broke.
think you'd be in for like potentially $1,000.
Probably.
Like, I think it might cost you $1,000.
Yeah. What a generous guy. I mean, it's just interesting. He's
Yeah.
very
It's like,
pedagogue.
you want to taste the McCann? The
Yeah.
best is his buddy, who is the world's. He said his buddy, who's the world's most renowned, like the Sultan of Brunei, called this guy to come to his house because he needed, an expert on Scotch or something. Like literally, this guy is the Sultan of Brunei's, Scotch guy, and that guy was at his house. And he said every morning he wakes up at like 9 a.m. He pours himself that much scotch and then water. And he pours it all like in a tall glass. Did you hear that?
Gosh.
You don't
No.
remember this story?
No, I don't remember.
I thought you were there. And anyway, he pours it with water, like a full glass of water with like a little shot of scotch.
Yeah.
And that's what he drinks all day.
Huh. Wow. That's
The
unique.
cool thing about diluting, I put a drop of water in my scotch, and the cool thing about diluting it with a little bit of water like that is because you're just adding an already like it's an ingredient already. So you're just diluting it. You're not, what's the word I'm looking for? You're not contaminating it.
Yeah, well, that's how I feel about it. Like the ice part of it, though. Like I like to let it sit after the pour for like a good 2 minutes. I like to that's how I'd like to naturally.
With the ice, you mean?
Yeah, I'll let it sit in the ice for 2 minutes and let it just kind of like just marinate.
Here's the problem with the ice, though. I'm going to tell you why. And I
Okay.
used to be a rocks guy, and I went to Scotland, and like I do not do that anymore. I'll tell you
Really?
why.
Huh.
Because you're contaminating it, and I'm going to tell you why. Because the ice, first of all, 99% of all ice that you're putting in there is like not good water. It's all right. It's New York City tap,
Yeah.
but like it's not good enough water to put into dilute your. It's like water you wash dishes with, right? Which is fine, but God knows what's in there, and it's a whole ice cube. So when it gets, the more it melts, the more water you're putting in.
Yeah, I
and
get that.
diluting it more than you want to.
Yeah.
Like towards the end, it like tastes like Scotch flavored water.
Yeah, you know what though? I kind of don't mind that in a way because I think that like that's to me that's like the sands of time. It's like as the ice goes away, well then you shouldn't be drinking anymore after
Make sure
that.
you go get a freshie. Go get a freshie.
Yeah, or sort of depending on the
Or
pour.
stop.
Right, but to me that's what I think. It's like, oh, when there's no more ice, there's no more drink. So like if you do put a topper after your first one, you're probably not going to make it through a second one after that sort of topper. So it's I think a good barometer of drinking responsibly.
Look at the end of the day, that's the beauty of anything, right? There's no wrong way to do it. It's
Right,
like,
right.
this is how I eat my Tootsie Roll or something. It's like whatever, you can do whatever you want.
How I get to the center of my Tootsie Pop.
So what do you got? What do you got this summer? What's the summer plan?
This
How's the
summer?
house in Nantucket? You guys renting that out?
No, it's not Nantucket. It's Martha's Vineyard, and we have
Yeah.
it's great. It's rented out, and it's great, and we don't really get to use it, but it's good. It's a fun thing. We get to go once a year, basically. We go over Easter week and kind of get the house set up and everything. We just kind of came back from that, and
Yeah.
yeah, things are good there. And then kids are good. The big thing right now is my son's in t-ball, so
You're the
that's
coach.
I'm an assistant coach. No stolen
Assistant.
valor.
You're like,
But I will say, I think this is my first
are you
year.
good at baseball? Of course you are. You're that annoying guy who's good at everything you do. Like you're like that guy.
I don't think so. I mean, hockey, I'm useless. Baseball, I played. Basketball, I played.
Hockey. The one thing I can't do, I can't ice skate and hit a puck at the same time. I can't do that. But anything else.
That's funny. And right now it's obviously Knicks game 6 tonight. I'm kind of big.
Are you a big Knicks fan?
Yeah, I'm also just I have a problem. I'm a sports addict. I'm a nut. I watch anything. I don't gamble either, so it makes it even worse because I'm sitting there compelled and they go acting like a crazy person, and it's not like I have money on the game. Why do I care so much? But I love it. I think when the Knicks are good this time of year, it's just the whole city is energized by it. So
It really is. I mean, honestly, I pull for the net. Look, I'm not really a New York City fan. I like the Rangers, but other than that, I don't really like my sports teams are out of town.
okay.
And I have so many Nick fan friends, and like I'd love to see them win one year.
Yeah,
I would
because
be
it's kind of a
happy.
nation of heartbreak. It's just we've had our hearts broken.
What's a Jets fan? Are you a Jets fan too?
No, I'm actually a Miami Dolphins fan, which is it's the cousin. It's the
That's
close
maybe
cousin
worse.
of being a Jets fan.
I was gonna say I'd actually rather be a Jets fan than a
Right, because the Jets, you're like, oh, we have no hope, we know. The Dolphins, are like, maybe, and then you're like, oh,
Yeah.
why
And
am
then
I even
no.
get fooled by that? Like, it's
Yeah,
just,
they're blowing duds out.
it's a miserable existence. But I've always had
Right.
the Yankees as my steady Eddie, as something that, like, winning.
Even the Yankees now, we can't count on them. It's
Been
due.
2009. It's been 17 years at 26. So
I don't think anybody beats the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers are just like it's like not fair. They're so
Yeah.
much better than everyone else.
But you know what? The pitching, and I haven't heard people talk about it too much yet, but the Yankees pitching this year, it's probably the best starting rotation they've had in my lifetime. And two of their starters aren't even in the rotation right now. So there's a new guy they brought up, this guy Cam Schlittler, who is like literally like top 5 pitcher in baseball this year, and
Yeah.
that's on top of Max Fried, who they brought in last year, who was like I think top 3 in the Cy Young voting, and then Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon are 2 other people that haven't even pitched yet. They've been on the injured reserve, so they've got some horses going into the postseason, where postseason is much more about pitching than it is hitting. So I have a little bit more faith in this team than I have in a very long time. It's all
So
about
you got
pitching.
hopes. You got high hopes.
I got high hopes there. Yes.
Who
I
do you got?
got.
Who do you got in the NBA? Oh,
Well, listen, my heart says one thing. My heart wants a rematch of the 1999-2000 finals, which would be New York and San Antonio. Right? And San Antonio is the big, is the big story this year with Wembanyama. And funny enough, the Knicks beat the Spurs in the NBA Cup, which is a little bit of a fake trophy, but
yeah.
either way, they did beat them. And that would be. Let me just say that that's what I've got.
That's what you're hoping. Well, I
That's
mean,
what I'm hoping.
you would bet on, like, I mean, I know you don't
Here's the
bet.
thing, man. I'll die with my heart on it.
OKC? You don't think OKC?
Well, here's the thing. The Spurs have OKC's number. They've beaten them 3 out of 4 times, or 4 out of 5. And OKC is a juggernaut. There's no question. I think you're going to have a 7-game series in the Western Conference between those 2 teams, between San Antonio and OKC. It's going to be fun. I always love playoff hockey and playoff basketball.
That's the best.
It's just so much
Best.
more intense, and if you get the privilege to go to a game in the playoffs at the Garden, it's so electric, and I love it.
I love it, baby. Well, look, I don't want to take more of your time because I know you're busy.
No, this has
and
been
you
fun.
got 1,000,001. There, you're gonna like, oh God, I can't believe Tager made me be on his stupid podcast.
Only for you, my friend. Only for you.
No, but I so appreciate you, taking the time to do the show.
Happy to, man.
And I love it. And if this is how I have to hang out with you in 2D for an hour and record it, and then that's what I'm gonna do.
Well, it's always a pleasure, my friend, and I hope to see you maybe in the coming.
Powered by
Whoop, wrong button. Oh, sorry, what were you saying?
Powered by Riverside.
Hope to see you at the
I'm
tasting. Hope to see you at the next tasting.
I'm gonna let you know when the tasting is. I
Cool.
mean, you're coming. You got to come, right?
I'm in.
He's gonna do it in the next 2 weeks. He said.
Yeah.
He's gonna let me know. It's gonna be in May.
With 3 kids, you never know what pops up or what engagements my other half might have, but yes, absolutely.
3 kids, you're like, get me out of the house. The
Try
taste, I gotta get out of that.
Yeah, well, next week's.
Anyway,